Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to talk about the possibilities for a Netflix TRPG wave. All right, so what am I talking about here? So last week it was very exciting announcement was made. There was an announcement made that there will be an official Altered Carbon tabletop role-playing game. Now, Altered Carbon was a Netflix original, and now there's going to be a tabletop role-playing game for Netflix. In addition to that, before the Altered Carbon game, there was an announcement that there will be, I have one of these on pre-order. I am crazy excited about this. There is going to be an official Dungeons & Dragons starter box. It's going to be red, just like the classic red Dungeons & Dragons starter box. And it will be an official licensed product of official Dungeons & Dragons starter box and official Stranger Things product. Right, so within that starter box, you're going to get a Demogorgon figure, and you're going to get all the sheets for, like that Mike and Dustin and all the Stranger Things characters. You're going to get their character sheets and be able to play their characters. And in addition to that, the actual exact adventure that the Stranger Things Dungeon Master was running for all his friends is going to be in the box, and you can actually run it, okay? So that is 2 tabletop role-playing game products coming from the Netflix, from Netflix, right? Now, yesterday was the announcement of the She-Ra tabletop role-playing game. Don't get excited. It was fake because it was April Fool's. And I will tell you right now, I was not happy when, so 10 a.m., I learned that it is April Fool's. I grind my teeth and I'm like, okay, let's get through this day. It's horrible every single year, but it's here. Let's just get through the day. Then at 8 p.m., I read on Twitter with, it looked completely real. It said the She-Ra tabletop role-playing game was coming. I already knew it was April Fool's, right? But when I saw that, I got so excited. Me and my daughter watched the show together, and I got so excited that my heart completely suppressed my brain. I completely forgot it was April Fool's, even though I had found that out, like 10 hours earlier, right? And me and my daughter were just talking about what dice we would use for each character, right? And it was terrible, right? So the She-Ra tabletop role-playing game is not real, right? But Netflix has got enough juice where somebody thought that would be a great, funny idea. It wasn't, right? But we do have 2 real tabletop role-playing games, right? And the reality is, I'm very excited about the possibility of a Netflix TRPG wave, a tabletop role-playing game, based on Netflix originals, right? And I even think they have good enough goodwill with many of their of the content contributors, content that isn't original from them, but they're still getting it, that they could do some tabletop role-playing games for properties that aren't original content as well. But it's a big deal, and the reason why is tabletop role-playing games are, they're actually a pretty bad business model, modern-day business model. They really are not a good business model. They're incredible products specifically for gamers, but they're not good for the creators, right? Collectability really drives sales today, and you can see Magic the Gathering makes more in probably a single release, like out of 3, and they have like 3 major releases a year, than Dungeons & Dragons does with its sales all year long, right? So Dungeons & Dragons doesn't have collectability. It makes, you can go and you can buy those 3 core rule books for $150, and then you can literally play games for 10 years and never buy a single thing other than that and have a blast, right? So tabletop role-playing games are really not a great model. However, they have a cachet about them, right? They attract incredibly intelligent, creative, artistic people, and people who like them at a very passionate level, right? So that's attractive to a lot of content creators, right? And they want people engaged with their content, and tabletop role-playing game allows a level of engagement that really very, very few, if any, games allow, right? And so it's really a unique, wonderful thing. So one of the things that I've been really interested in is the thing that Netflix can bring is Netflix is a make it rain creator, right? So like when they bring in, they're like a perfect example of this is The Haunting of Hill House, right? That's a horror movie. That's essentially an 8-hour horror movie, right? But the money that was invested into that project, you could have done that. You could have done that project for a tenth of what Netflix brought. But they really want to create some amazing quality. They want things that people are going to remember forever, and they are willing to put money there. And they have money right now. They are showing strong growth, right? And they have a history of having a strong stock price. These guys bring, so Netflix brings real numbers, right? That, even in the content creation area are unheard of. Netflix could roll in and drop $1 million, $10 million, $100 million into a wave of tabletop role-playing games. They could give an entire building with 50 to 100 employees just to make tabletop role-playing games, from their properties, right? And like if I said this about any other group, it would seem like crazy talk, right? But that's the point. Netflix is doing crazy talk numbers with a lot of their projects. And if Altered Carbon does well, if the Stranger Things D&D product does well, if people stop, doing false starts for licensed IP properties like She-Ra and let people actually do the real work of creating licensed properties, there could be a real renaissance. And there's a possibility that Netflix could say, this is a huge opportunity. We can do something special here, and that could not only massively boost Netflix, right, in this really unique community, which is tabletop role-playing game community, this super dense community of smart, creative, artistic people, right, could really be wonderfully endeared to Netflix for a long time. And Netflix has the money to do this kind of investment. This kind of investment is very rare, it's very unusual, and it's really distinct. But Netflix is positioned in a specific way that absolutely no one else is positioned to. Like I said, like it could be factors. It could be $1 million given to 2 or 3 different companies. It could be $10 million given to a dozen companies. It could be $100 million 5-year deal with headquarters and to do a whole lot of role playing games. We don't really know, right? But the reality is it's very, very exciting that the Netflix TRPG wave is possible. Now let me talk about if this happens, what are the tabletop role-playing games I would like to see, and then I'd love to know which ones you would like to see. All right, so here's the ones. Lost in Space. Parker Posey, man, she was great in that. The Innocents, if you haven't watched that, it's amazing. Voltron, Legendary Defender. Oh my gosh, that game would be fantastic. That would just be amazing. I would be so excited to see that. There are a lot of great. Ballad of Buster Scruggs, right? There's just there's so many. Of course, Stranger Things. I would love to see an official Stranger Things tabletop role-playing game. That could be huge. It could be really, really big, and it would be definitely super, super fun, right? And so there are just a ton of Triple Frontier. Man, that thing writes itself, right? The Haunting on Hill House, there's just so, and that is just right off the top of my head, right? There are just so many great shows that you can make out of Netflix content. Those are just some of my favorites. The Ritual, you could take that right into, The Umbrella Academy. Oh my gosh, that would be a fantastic tabletop role-playing game, right? And the other thing that would be cool is Netflix could do these super dope projects where it drops on Netflix and the TRPG drops day one of the release. What? Like, that would be just awesome. So I'm really excited about the possibility for a Netflix TRPG wave. I think it could happen. I really do. What do you think? And what are the Netflix content that you would like to see made into a Netflix TRPG? I'd really love to know. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful day.